Hello, Tim from Fairplay now on the 30th of September 2023. So, I've got a few reasons for you, just in case you were considering running out right now and buying an EV, an electric vehicle, which I'm pretty sure about 99% of viewers aren't, but you may well know people who might be considering one, and you might want to give them a few reasons as to why they should reconsider that particular decision. Well, first of all, it's not a particularly green thing to do with all of the lithium mining, which is a very dodgy thing, using child labour in Africa and that sort of thing. Cobalt and all of the other minerals necessary for the batteries that go into EVs. These are all well-known facts, and I've just seen about 3 different reports very recently for more reasons as well. First of all, I read somewhere that someone had bought a Porsche EV which cost well over 100 grand, and he's only had it a year apparently, and he already wants to trade it in. I wonder why. And the dealers are only offering him about 50 grand part exchange, meaning of course that he's lost 50 grand in just a year. Absolutely incredible, isn't it? Speaking of money still, I've seen another article which apparently a lot of the insurance companies are starting to get a bit kind of wary of electric vehicles. I read this article or part of it, the main bit of it, and this relates particularly to the Tesla Y, which apparently is the best-selling electric vehicle in the country, even though it costs 45 grand. So these EV drivers are obviously a well-heeled bunch, aren't they? And they need to be, because apparently the insurances are going up from, and this is if you can get insurance at all, because a lot of them aren't even accepting to insure these electric vehicles. But if they do, they want about 5 grand. People are finding their premiums are going up from a grand or so up to 5 grand. And they're also finding they're getting letters through the post from their insurance companies saying, sorry, we're not going to be insuring this vehicle. So they've got to then go to these other places where they will accept to insure your vehicle, but at a huge cost. And this is all because of, it must be because of that ferry fire, mustn't it? Or transport fire on that ship. I guess that happened a few months ago. And I've also heard reports that if you've got an EV, some ferries aren't even allowing you to go on them as well. So that's another consideration. And okay, this is another type of electric conveyance, but I was on the trains quite a lot with Lorraine last week when we were on our break and going to various different places, and we're on a southern train, and I'm pretty sure I saw a poster in there saying that electric scooters aren't allowed on their trains anymore. So, that's another sort of electric vehicle or conveyance sort of problem, isn't it? And finally, another reason why you might wish to reconsider a purchase of an electric vehicle is the motorway service stations apparently are having to sort of hire and sort of put out these electric vehicle charging point marshals, believe it or not, because they're starting to get a lot of incidences of what's been termed as charge rage. We've heard about the phenomenon of road rage for many a long year, and apparently charge rage is becoming a thing. So you get into your useless electric vehicle, you've got to go 200 miles from, I don't know, London to Manchester, let's say, and of course your electric vehicle's only got a range of 150 miles, so you have to stop somewhere part way up the motorways and a service station. So you pull in there in your electric vehicle, you drive up to the charging point, and to your dismay, most of them are full, but there's one charging point on the far end, so you go for that, and just before you get there, someone else with an electric vehicle that needs charging pops into that space just before you can get there. And you can imagine the rage. You've got to get up to Manchester, and you're working to a deadline, you've got an important meeting or whatever it is, and this cheeky so-and-so has sort of pulled into your spot, so you're going to get out of your car, aren't you, and go and give them a few choice words. You'll get a few choice words back, and fisticuffs may well ensue. And so that is why these kind of marshals are being employed by the service station. So an absolutely incredible story, and as if you're not having enough problems with electric vehicles, that is another thing you're going to have to contend with in the future, I'm afraid. And meanwhile, the sort of diesel and petrol car owners are sort of merrily just popping into the pump area, filling up, and on they go after only about 10 minutes stop. So honestly, who on earth would buy an EV? It's just the worst kind of virtue signalling, and if you're into virtue signalling and you want to get an electric vehicle, well, I'm afraid the costs are spiralling out of control. I'm pretty sure I also saw another piece online somewhere that for the first time, getting a full charge on an electric vehicle, at least in some instances, is now more expensive than a full tank of petrol or diesel in a internal combustion engine car. So I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. That's been a main draw for the EV thing, hasn't it, where you can sort of just charge up your vehicle for just a few pennies. That was the perception, wasn't it? But if this thing I read is right, it seems that benefit is evaporating as well. So yeah, you can virtue signal all you want with the EV thing, but it's going to come at a severe price, vast depreciation, huge insurance premiums, not being able to go on to ferries and that kind of thing, huge purchase prices to start with as well at the front end, and then as if all of that and more isn't enough, you're going to have charge rage as well, I'm afraid. So honestly, who on earth would buy one of those things? It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? So like I say, I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of people who watch me won't even be considering an EV, but you probably know one or two people who may well do so, or may be considering one. Maybe you want to just mention a couple of these points I've mentioned here to dissuade them, because anything to throw a spanner into the works of the mainstream narrative and the whole sort of 2030 agenda has got to be a good thing in my book. And by putting a few of these home truths out there, which might get kind of sort of shared and spread around, hopefully by working together we can, like I say, throw a spanner into the 2030 agenda works. So yeah, gonna leave it there. And yeah, who on earth would ever buy an electric vehicle? Tim from Fairplay now, thanks for watching.